Catherine, thank you. This is an absolute pleasure to get to visit with you. I got to screen Prisoner's Daughter last night, and the film is just absolutely terrific. I love what you've done with the script. I love the characters in this. I love the actors who have brought these characters to life. I just really want to dive in and start from the beginning of the timeline, if you don't care. Can you just give me some history with how you got introduced to the script and kind of how it found its way to you and why you decided to jump on board with it?
Right. Well, the writer Mark Bacchi, who wrote this in a beautiful way, very personal and very similar to a lot of his friends' life. He thought that he made a list of directors. He thought maybe I could be a good director for this. He'd seen 13, and it's of course related to 13, my first movie, because it's this intense family drama, mostly in a house, one house. So he sent it to me, and I started reading it, and I really got drawn in by Kate Beckinsale's character, Maxine. You really feel for her. She's this single mom, just so many different obstacles. And, she didn't have a good role model as a mother or a father, but she's now a single mom, really trying to do everything she can. She's so focused on it, doesn't seem to be dating anybody or anything. She's just working multiple jobs, trying so hard to be a good mom and break the pattern of her childhood and her parenting and the cycle of violence. So I thought that was fascinating. I loved Brian Cox's character because he's trying to look back at his life in the last few months and say, how can I change things? How can I leave a better legacy? How can I reconnect with my daughter? And then, of course, he finds out he's got a grandson too. And now he wants to connect with his grandson. So it was compelling, all the family, all the emotions.
Yeah, I mean, you have so many elements stacked in this film when you really start to break it down and just look at them individually. When you guys were combining these together and actually looking at, bringing the actors to the characters, where was your mindset at as far as who you had in mind for casting? Did everything kind of line up the way you hoped? I mean, you've got some real powerhouse, actors on board here. So what was it like bringing them in, and were they kind of fitting the mold as to what you had in your head when you were initially reading the script?
Right. Well, I had seen Kate Beckinsale in a small movie. Of course, I've seen her fun action movies, but in a small movie called Farming. And I was just struck by how much she completely transformed herself to this movie in the UK. And I thought, wow, she's really done interesting work that we haven't seen her do very much. So this would be a character that once was glamorous in a way. She was up there dancing in Vegas, but those days are past. And she's now like working the 2 jobs and working really hard. And and doesn't even have the money for epilepsy medicine for her kid. So, how do we transform Kate into that kind of character? The cost of the clothes that she wears would be nothing like the real Kate would wear. However, when Kate puts on inexpensive clothes, she still makes them look pretty damn good. But so Kate seemed like a really interesting choice that we hadn't seen her do something like that before. And also Brian, of course, he's like insane in Succession, and we love him. But for many years, he's done incredible roles. So this seemed kind of like an inverse or a complement to Succession, because in Succession, he's very violent, but verbally violent. And in this one, you see that he has the physical violence capability of going off and becoming physical too. And, that was kind of thrilling to imagine seeing Brian also in such a sympathetic role too, where he really is making every effort he can to make her life better, his daughter's life better, to make his grandson's life better,
Really just the character journey that he's on, and to see that how he went from this person where everybody's kind of referencing who he used to be throughout the film. You can just imagine what he used to look like and the fear he used to put in people, now that he's out, and just the interaction he has with all these side characters who used to know the old version of him before he
Right.
went in the last time into prison. So it's just insane to see the characters there. I know that this film got its premiere last fall in the September at the Toronto International Film Festival. I would just love for you to be able to talk about the reception to the film there. Can you just kind of talk about what the thoughts were and what people were talking about after watching it?
Well, it was a lot of fun because actually all the cast got to go. Brian worked out with his schedule. Kate got to come. Chris Convery, the son, who is very strong actor, playing against, Brian Cox and Kate Beckinsale. I mean, that's pretty crazy for a 12-year-old, but he's courageous and really held his own. And then Tyson Ritter, who plays the ex-husband, he came and he contributed beautifully to the music in this movie, wrote two of the songs, and did some amazing work on the film. But so everybody got to come, and it was just a triumphant moment because it was a tight budget movie, just an intimate family drama. To get to walk out there on the red carpet and have in the big Roy Thompson Hall, sold out, and everybody cheering and loving it and staying for the Q&A and giving us, the standing up, all the fun stuff. So it was really a beautiful experience.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Christopher, because I was hoping to discuss him a little bit more as well, because you got this child actor who honestly he's got, and I don't know if it's just an actor, and I'm hoping you can tell me this, or if this is just who he is as a kid, but he's got the soul of like a 30-year-old, because like he was really playing off Kate and Brian and even Ernie Hudson's character, and he's just an adult. Like, I feel like this kid's got a briefcase and is going to go work for the IRS tomorrow, because honestly he was so mature with this role, and I know that it'd be easy to play this type of scenario as a kid who's kind of having to raise himself partially because his mom is single and having to work all these hours and a job and stuff. But truly, I felt this is probably the most believable child actor I've ever seen play this type of role. So was he like that in real life? Or is this really the kind of acting potential we could have to look forward to this young man?
I think he's going to do amazing things as an actor, and but in real life, he's a very creative kid. He was taking boxing classes even before he knew about this part, and he was writing music. He sings. He does. He's really like has a rich life of trying. He's not scared of trying all kinds of things, and he's very funny. He's very open. He wants to learn about everything. His eyes are he's just alert, and I think he really felt this character too, like he actually his mom is a single mom now, unfortunately, her husband passed away. So he can relate to that juggling, that struggle. So I think it was really, powerful for him to figure out this character, but I think he's going to be an amazing person to watch. And he's grown like 1 foot since we shot it.
No, that's tremendous. I am very excited to see where he goes, because I kept thinking to myself every time he came on the scene, and like just he was so quick going back and forth with these, high profile award winning actors and actresses. And I'm just like, man, this kid has got something going on for him. So I'm very excited to see that he was cast in this movie and to see where he goes next. Um, as a director, I really wanted to ask you, is there anything that you gained from your directing experience in this film that you feel you're going to be able to take with you when you go on to your next project? Is there anything new in the arsenal that you were able to gain from your experience this last time?
Well, for example, in this one, we had two pretty intense fight scenes that were quite heavy. And I hadn't really worked on fight scenes exactly like that before. So, just trying to figure out a way to create the reality, but keep the actors safe, keep everybody safe, but make it really feel like, actor action we talk about, where you really want to be in there with the actors. And also, it was about 110 degrees when we shot those scenes, because it was Vegas in the summertime. And so that was fascinating. How far do you push people? That was just interesting on multiple levels, but also wanting to make it visceral and help you feel like you were right there at this birthday party that's gone way wrong, and don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. So that was fascinating. Also,
The fight scenes here, the connection here between a drama and an action film, and how you were able to blend these two together, because it's not often that you see these two themes brought together in a film. And I definitely wanted to give you a moment to just kind of discuss, how you were able to make those 2 points fluid and come together in a film like this.
yes, thank you. Well, that was interesting because there are moments of explosive violence, and that is one of the themes of the movie. And so we have the idea of these cycles of violence, intergenerational violence, that she was raised by a violent father. She chose a violent husband. The kid is also facing some violence and bullying at school. And should he stand up for himself or not? And the fact that the grandfather was a boxer and trained as a boxer, and he's got his best friend as a boxer and runs a boxing gym. So it's very interwoven in the story, like in multiple places. You're going to see somebody breaking out, the husband breaking out and fighting. You're going to see the boxing gym, the kid having to fight. So it's actually the whole theme of, one of the main themes of the movie.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Catherine, I've absolutely loved getting the chance to visit with you. I did want to give you an opportunity. Do you have any upcoming projects or anything that you can hit on, or just give us a tease on what you got coming up next that people need to be on the lookout for?
I've got a couple very interesting projects that could shoot in Italy again, like I did my other movie, Mafia Mama, in Italy. That was a really fun comedy with Tony Collette. So we might go back to Italy and do something. Both of those are pretty serious projects, drama. And then there's a couple of really fun ones in LA. One of them is inspired and based on Diane Warren's story. She's the 14-time Academy Award nominee, never won yet. She won an honorary Oscar for Best Original Song. She's written songs for Lady Gaga, Aerosmith, and she had a crazy childhood, being bullied, and like everybody told her she had no musical talent, and she didn't care. She just kept going, kept writing her song. So she's got a wild story, so that might be one of the fun ones that we're working on right now.
That's exciting. I can't wait for those, and I'm certain that there's going to be people lining up at the theaters to check those out as well. If they want to keep up with everything that you're doing, do you have a social media account or website that people can jump on to keep up with you?
Pretty much Instagram, just my name. You can find me there. I'm not perfect at posting every minute, but I blast out some of the fun stuff. Yeah. So. Yes, exciting. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I like your background. It's very fun.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I did want to say, the fact that you've got Brian Cox and Ernie Hudson in your movie, you've got a Ghostbuster, and then you got, William Stryker from X-Men in your film. That's an allure to me already. So as a huge nerd, so that's going to drive the nerd population to see your film. So that you've got that going for you for sure. So
Well, thank you so much.
thank you, Catherine. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to visit with you today, and I really hope we get the chance to do this again soon.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.